Even with this presentation that Dawn is just concluded on, are we already beginning to see the different areas through which or in which we can, incorporate the digital or tech aspect of this entire engagement into what we do in our daily lives? Can we even begin to, visualize what it looks like if we were to incorporate tech into our daily engagements, be it political, participatory engagements and such, or even within our different organizations? Are we visualizing that already? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah, because part of the reason why we had to do this today was also to make sure that we are amplifying the idea of tech in public participation, which has been served pretty well by our good friend Dan. Not sure what's happening with this machine, but we move on nonetheless. What we are here to do for today, and especially with regards to this bit, I wanted us to okay, yeah, we proceed nonetheless. I'm told the other microphone has less feedback.
Have you seen the microphone now? All right. Is that where our problem? Okay. That was our problem.
The microphone.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, that's much clearer. So, as we had mentioned earlier on, when we were beginning the meeting, we are here to harness and consolidate young people's voices in SDG policy conversations. So, for us, the focus here today is on Nairobi County. We want to find out what's working for us. First of all, before even we go into what's working for us, are we aware of what this, sustainable development goals are? Do we have good awareness of what it is that's already happening within our community or within the country? So in 2015, I know we'd already, most of you will know. Oh, brother. Okay. So in 2015, we adopted these sustainable development goals, and this was a transition from the millennial development goals, which I know some of them are yet to be concluded on, but this is the fresh or the new one, and I'm not an expert in these things, so muniwie radhi. But I have to say that with this already in place, one of the things that we can actually see, or that is being evident within our country, is that some of these things have been incorporated into the different policies, or they've been incorporated into the law itself. And within our different counties, considering we have the devolution or the concept of devolution within the Kenya Constitution, some of these things are appearing in some of the development goals that we have as counties and as a nation. Yeah. So there's been that sort of trickling down of these goals into our nation. But for Nairobi County, one of the things that we also wanted to discuss today, do sustainable development goals or sustainable development in itself truly matter to Nairobi County? Yeah. And this is a rhetorical question to, even as we try to figure out where are we at as a county. One, the county government structuring, I'm glad Madam Waziri was here earlier on, and she gave a list, or she outlined the different sectors that are already there within the county government. I think you have 10 or 11 of them. And if you're keen enough on what this particular government, you have to make it a habit of congratulating or giving credit where it's due. The Nairobi County government, if you check how they've structured their different sectors, they factored in pretty much underlying every last one of those sectors that they have within the county or their structure is a sustainable development goal. Whether we are addressing matters health, whether we are addressing matters education, and your governor has actually been pretty, and I'm not paid to do this, by the way, and I'm not doing, I'm not giving shameless plugs or props to the county government. But we have to give credit where due. Sawa sawa. You've seen your governor doing a lot of engagements here and there within the schools, with the dish in a county, because poverty in itself is a sore issue. Doesn't matter whether it's affecting you, it might not affect you directly, but to someone else, that's an area of need, yeah? And still within the same community. Could be Nairobi County, like in Nairobi County, ni kama iko na, zinitangwa nini, they're different, what do you call? I don't call them classes, but they're different people, different realities. Let me put it that way, right? So for someone who's based in maybe an informal settlement, when you're talking to them about climate change or climate action, that might be a far-fetched sort of idea compared to if you came to them with matters, accessibility of food, or even things to do with education itself, good health or healthcare facilities and healthcare, services. So, but also looking at what Nairobi County has already done, and we know some of the policies are already put in place by the county to ensure that some of these things are adopted and they are running within the county. We want to also hear what has been the reality of the mwananchi wa kawaida, right? Because it's one thing for the county to have these things in place, to have all these good, policies and implementation plans in place, but then again, what's the reality on the ground for the people that are recipients of some of these interventions? Again, how have various actors, come into play? How have they contributed to this particular engagements? How have they rather contributed to these engagements that we already have? So then, part of what we are also trying to collect through the exercise that we'll be doing after this is to ensure that we are saying, rather that we can see a bit of a recommendation sort of thing, that we can raise recommendations. For one, the policies that are already existent within the county of Nairobi, but two, how can we also ensure that these policies are implemented well enough to ensure that we're actually realizing some of this sustainable development agenda or activities that we are setting out to do as a county. Again, what we'll also be looking at is seeking to hear from the county itself. Challenges imekuwa ni zipi in terms of formulation of the policies that you already have to mainstream and make sure that these SDGs are not just something that we're discussing within Nairobi, I don't call it CBD again, but within the main areas of Nairobi. How about the person who's mashinani kabisa within Nairobi, the person who would, on a kawaida basis, not be found participating in any public participation forums that are organized by the county? How can we ensure that there's a devolution of these concepts, one, to them? And then again, having raised these challenges, and we want to also hear this from the people themselves. How are they being addressed, or what do they feel needs to be done for them to be addressed? Again, over and above that, the issue here is to ensure that we have inclusion. Inclusion of young people, inclusion of PWDs in these conversations. But then again, with regard to young people specifically, what we are putting out there in terms of, making known or creating awareness and generating interest in sustainable development, are we messaging well enough? Yeah. The kind of messaging that we are doing, how we are packaging SDGs in general, is it reaching out to those people in ways that they can relate with or identify with? Yeah. And I think part of what Don talked about when he was talking about the Civic Voices app is the fact that this particular app gives an element of a cost-cutting, cost cuts on the aspect of public participation, so that people don't have to spend much to get to where some of these public participation activities are happening, and two, devolving these conversations to the people where they are, reaching them where they are. So are we packaging the information well enough? And then communication avenues, which ones are more employable, especially by the young people, to ensure that everyone is brought on the board, or rather brought on board, as we even generate some of these conversations. So this is part of what we'll be doing through this particular session that we've gone into, and Don will take us through practical, experience of this app. And these are some of the questions that we'll be answering on that app. Thank you. And these are some of the questions that we'll be answering on that app or generating discussions with on that app. I don't know, Dan, whether we are good to go. Sawa sawa. Don.
Yeah.
Sisi karibu back.
Asante.
Sikuje utuambie hii app inafanya kazi aje.
I think it's a good opportunity to now, at least for the first time, now engage on the web app. It's our newest baby that we now want to, roll out in the county as well. You see, so. Let's clap for her. So I want to take us very swiftly through the Civic Voices web platform. So on your phone, in case you're not using personal internet, there is Wi-Fi here. So I think Manasi, you don't have any excuse. You have to connect. So in your browser, we just use civicvoices.app. But if you Google Civic Voices, the first link that comes up.
Are we able to see?
Oh. Okay. How is this being projected? As she helps me do that, once on the platform, you'll be required to sign in. To sign up, rather.
They are not there. They are on WhatsApp and messages.
Oh,
and
civicvoices.app. Yes. Your page should look like this. Then you'll be required to sign up. Signing up enables us to disaggregate information after public participation has happened. So if maybe say Patrick wants to know in Nairobi County, okay, the people who are complaining about floods, where are they, who are most affected, which ward? So you can actually narrow down, to the most tiniest of data points that are required or that are an objective in any engagement. We are good to go. After you sign up, this is how your page will look like, if at all you're on PC. If you're mobile, of course, it will be oriented for mobile. So this exercise will help, will fill into the program that CMB is running, and also in the objective to support the county in SDG conversations and SDG policy development and approaches that are there. Can we proceed? Oh, still signing in. Okay. So the signing in or sign up will have two sections. One about basically you, then the next one will be about the levels of governance that you're in. So for the county, for now we just use Nairobi alone. So Ngetich, please don't have Kericho. Yes.
So on the category of age,
Mm-hmm.
is this aspect of the category of 23 to 30.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm 30, should I tick 23 to 30 or 30 to 40?
That's a good question.
If you're 30, you
Because
Okay.
for each category, the other number is the end of one category and it's also the
The
beginning of
beginning of that's a good catch. Then those categories of 30, 29, 20, 30, 30 and a half, in a share 30. So that will have to be looked into. Yeah. But meanwhile, you can feel it, how you feel. Do you feel older? Do you feel younger? So in the age brackets, it will be easier then to see what the young people are saying, what the elderly are saying, what the then the responsible powers then are able to maybe act accordingly, so that everybody is included in whatever is being discussed. Simba, you might get it?
Yeah.
Ah, nice. So, on the left, we have basically the homepage. Explore gives the different on thing, and the left is doing that thing. But basically, it's oh yeah, same. Oh, sorry. The different topics that are there. Policies, the policies under discussion, surveys, events, bookmark certification, literacy. Under literacy, we'll also be doing civic education on the platform, so those will come under literacy. But what I want us to engage in today, or now, that is the discussion under with CMD. If you click on harnessing and consolidating youth voices in SDG policy conversations, it should open you up to this. So the Center for Multiple Democracy is working to harness consolidate efforts and voices in policy conversations and involvement in SDGs at the county level. Your input will open new possibilities and help enhance existing approaches. Share your thoughts with us below. More details under sections and summaries. And now this is what we're talking about when we mentioned about disaggregation of information. We can't assume everybody knows about SDGs, but can we break down that information further? For instance, this is about CMD, so you can have a summary of that. We can have videos, explainer videos that breaks down that information that is supposed to be discussed anywhere, or rather in easier way, in summarized way. So under section, you can be able to see that, and you can be able to engage. I think Kenya is one of the Guzum Tani that you had. Yeah. An introduction about sustainable development goals. What are they? There's also video attached that. What will it take to attain SDGs? There's a presentation by the UN. So we can have as much broken down information here, so to have everybody understanding what's being discussed before they engage in it. Then the online guys already up. Okay. I see Titus, you already bring in your answers. I see Latisi there. But before I go there, let me just go to the survey questions, and these are where we'll add our submissions. So how would you rate your understanding of SDGs? In your view, which SDGs need more emphasis in implementation in Nairobi County, and why? The Nairobi County has done much, but what is it that really requires more emphasis and is pressing at the moment? kindly share your response and submit. How the various actors in your knowledge contributing to the policy development and infrastructuring of implementation. So this one will help CMD gain more partners in what it's trying to achieve with this. So if your organization is working anywhere around those, please mention CMD. We'll reach you one by one to see how you can partner in implementing SDGs in Nairobi and submit. Then what challenges do you think Nairobi is facing in policy formulation to mainstream and involve SDGs? Right. Share that and submit. And what further steps do you think Nairobi County could take to enhance the mainstreaming and implementation of SDGs? Then lastly, in your view, what could be done better and more strongly? What could be done to better and more strongly engage young people in county policy conversations in sustainable development? So help us by submitting your views in those. This will really help the project on sustainable development that then the CMD is hoping to work in partnership with you in supporting the county. So we could take 5 minutes, just go through them and submit your views.
I am informed that even as we do that, it's not a solitude. Guys, you can give your comments, you can speak now, is open. People can contribute, so that's not only this, so everyone now who has a suggestion, who has an opinion, and now it's open before we wind it up.
Okay.
It's okay, just submit, and others might want to. So it's a session of submitting or suggestion.
Okay. So as you submit any questions to Kenya, then to me, to Patrick. Yes.
Thank you. Mine is more of a question and a concern. This app is encouraging democracy. So what will you do? Because right now you ask any Kenyan any question about the government, 95% of the response you get is negative. So how do you mitigate that? Because a Kenyan given a space like 30 words to answer a question, 29 of the words will be very disgruntled comments. So how do you mitigate such as part of the development of the app as we go forward? Thank you.
Thank you. There's a question from Titus.
One question, two comments. I prefer the name Kaloki. I'm decolonized. Yeah. One, I think if we have the city politicians become champions of the digital participation, because they are very believable by their constituents, we could improve the numbers that take digital participation seriously. Second, I think there's somewhere in the guidelines on public participation law where a certain percentage of the county revenues should be set aside for public participation. I'm not sure whether Nairobi meets that, but that's another opportunity to lobby these counties to actually put in money as required for the public participation. This could provide the resources to scale this type of engagement to be bigger. Then my question would be, how do we resolve the concern of the feedback loop? What I mean by this is, you have informed me, you have mobilized me, you have collected my input, and you've reported. But how would I know what I said actually was considered and did actually influence a plan or a project?
Thank you, Titus.
Thank you. Maybe two questions that are related. One, do you, at this particular moment, conclude that this app has been helpful? Have you received any feedback from the government as a result of issues which were raised through the app? Number two, how does the government deal with negative feedback, seriously negative feedback that might come through the app? Are they friendly to it? And then what security measures do you put in place to ensure that whichever feedback comes through this platform is also not frivolous, is not the kind of abuses I see on Twitter, for example, or on Facebook, so that then this platform remains a civilized form of public accountability? Thank you.
Thank you. Just build up on what my brother has shared. Then the question will be, do you see the feedback that you receive? Because you know how Kenyans are. Sometimes you ask a question on a certain topic, but the responses you get sometimes are not related to what you asked. Yeah. Then with the system, can it provide room for anonymous feedback? Where probably I do not want to identify myself, but I'm happy to provide feedback on certain agendas. If the platform probably is not providing for that, then probably that will be my recommendation going forward. Then second last, data protection. Probably you could highlight what you've put in place to ensure that you protect data of the individuals who are using this platform. We've seen cases where platforms are hacked and people decide just to use people's data anyhow. Lastly, it's on the issue of feedback to the citizens. If we are participating, if we are giving comments on certain agendas, how do we receive feedback from the relevant authorities? Thank you.
I think we can have that first, then we can do a second round. And maybe before I proceed, Director, there are some questions maybe that I'll ask you to take. Number one is what he asked, that do you conclude that the app has been helpful? I think that cannot come from us. We'll have the county answer that. Then about feedback. There was, how does the government deal with serious negative feedback? Now, there's the question about that Kenyans giving negative feedback on the platform, or sometimes they're going overboard, number two. Two things. Number one, most of the conversations that we have on the platform are structured. This is formatted in terms of a survey. There are those that are bills that are just, that give room for, expansive conversation on a particular section of the bill and all that. So we do not limit the democracy of people to speak. So the only measure then that you have there is to structure the conversations so that all most of the conversations that are there on the platform are structured. Are given within a particular framework that has been set up at the beginning of the conversation, or whoever then is posting the questions, then we help with the framing so that then it's objective. But as to stopping people entirely from going south, that we cannot stop. And I think it's part of the democratic right. But in collection of data, if Patrick, for instance, is the one collecting that data and analyzing it, then it will be upon him then to see what are my key data points that I want to pick from this. So there'll be 1,000, for instance, but I will need this and this and that. So we let the data be there, then let him pick whatever he wants, or whatever is helpful in that conversation. Now, public conversations, especially run by the county, is public information. So the results of what has been discussed is public data. But as to the identity of the people who are giving their contributions in that, when you publish a report to the app, it does not come with names of individuals, it comes with codes, so-called 12-figure codes that then takes part or takes place of your name. So there's no report, there's no raw report that will come with individuals' names. Number two, there's a button that then helps hide identity. That if you don't want your name to be seen, then you just switch it, then it comes as concerned citizen. So that's one of the measures that we have taken. Because some discussions are very sensitive. I don't want to have your name there. So just switch it to concerned citizen, then your contribution will go as concerned citizen. Okay, I don't know what is happening here. I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. That is fixed. Then resolving the concern of feedback loop. And this is Kaloki, how partnership with the county government or government institutions come in. So that when we engage with them, on the platform, everybody can see the feedback that has been provided and the report that has been provided. If it's an issue that has been decided by discussed by the county, rather, is public information. So then, if anybody can access that, and let me say we said no to a particular thing, and the county went ahead and did it, then you have point of recourse. Look, these are the conversations, this is what was discussed, and this is the evidence. And that has been one of the challenges with most public participation cases. We go in there, but we have no evidence. You see, so the platform provides that evidence that this was discussed, this was agreed, and anybody can disaggregate that data. And on our side as Civic Voices, that's public data. If it's needed, we provide it. Yeah. So, and to add on data protection, we also register with the authorities that are concerned with data protection, and they've also put on our backend mechanisms is to try keep off as much as we can through our firewalls to protect data. So then that goes, the previous response goes hand in hand with the last question you asked about feedback to citizens. You get direct feedback from here. Just as an example, okay, we won't be able to see it here because this is a survey, but just checking on this, we have those contributions that have been given. If it was a policy, there is a tab at Ukumusho that shows whether your response was accepted or rejected based on the decision that the county then takes. So that after the public participation is done and the verdict is out, then it's updated on the platform that it was either accepted, the proposal, or rejected. That's updated through the platform. Patrick, allow me to ask you to respond to the two questions that were share to you. You have it?
Yeah. I think if I go to the question right, and I think those are very important questions. How has the civic voices helped the county government of Nairobi, right?
Okay.
That was the first one. Then was the second one, how does government handle negative feedback?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So I got them right? Yeah. Thank you. I think I'll be excited to speak about the first one. Then I'll speak about the second one. The Civic Voices app has really helped Nairobi County government in terms of public participation, civic education, and citizen engagement. I don't want to take the whole day to speak about that, but number one, to advertise in the newspaper, especially where we're required to do double newspaper too, it will cost us not less than 700,000. And we have advertised through the Civic Voices app severally, and right now, many county government officers were not aware that we could advertise without the newspapers, which is costing us 700,000 and bringing less than perhaps 100 people in the entire Nairobi to the forums. So through the app, we've been able to scale down our costs. In fact, I'm very excited that we have the web and these other options. Because also we have been incurring a cost on which goes to debt. I know we haven't paid about generating reports through digital application. But now with the app, we're able to scale down again the cost on that. The other bit with the app, when we do advertisement in the newspaper, it is almost impossible because of logistics and time to correct any mistake. It almost cost me my job once. I did a terrible mistake, and my bosses were up on my case saying I could have end up paying or being surcharged the 700,000 because I put a wrong venue on the newspaper, and that's my work. And you know, when you submit in government, when you submit things to your bosses, they also take responsibility. But I'm the director, right? So it's easy for that to be said, you'll be penalized. So but with the app, we have been able to correct such mistakes quite easily. Because all we need to do is withdraw the former and put the new one and speedily share it widely until the last one is done what? Is forgotten. So we have been able to do that. We have done those mistakes, but with the app we easily corrected that, and at zero cost really, or at little cost. But if I was to go back to the newspaper, they require another 700,000. And by the time we do the logistics of all that, the big people really be out of time. We have also benefited through just being able to share easily to reach those people who want to participate but are not willing to come to the physical meetings. There's a time I received an email through our public participation email address whereby some people from Langata asked, are there opportunities for online participation? I said keep that email as part of my presentations, because by then there was no such opportunities in Nairobi County. So the app is also increased that space, but I know now with the other opportunity now you're bringing in, we should be able to cover a wider scope. So really the app has been very helpful, and I'm excited about the new phase where we are going to give opportunity even for those who might not be able to do the usual way, when you are purposing through the website maybe to be giving a link. I don't know, you have mentioned about that, I'm really happy about that, because there's some people, Kenyans have many excuses. Some could say I'm not able to download the app, or the app might take space in my phone. But now, so those who have such excuses, with the new now dimension, we should be able to bring them on board. So the app, I don't want to continue. The app has really helped Nairobi County, and we are happy that you take it to other counties. We are not mean, but hope you will not go there and disappear and get good deals there and then forget us in Nairobi where you build your youthhood. And you get your manhood and you forget us kindly. Lastly, on the negative feedback. Now, the word negative is relative. I want to handle it in this sense. Relative in this sense. Negative can be negative and okay. And negative can be negative and just insults. So I don't want to address, if the question was about negative feedback about which is insults, or just coarse, rude language, that one, perhaps people are less uncultured and have bad manners. That one I don't want to speak much about. Maybe it's a function of how they were raised in their families or societal problems. It is about the ujinga. No, it's bad. Whether it's, and in fact, we must teach all Kenyans to respect government. You voted in, and government always has to be there. So Matusi hate this idea. So that's a function of poor family issues and societal problems. I'll not address that. But I can address the issue that is of negative feedback that can be building. There's negative could be you are not working. So that's negative feedback.
Yeah.
Or your systems are not functioning. That's negative feedback. But it has nothing coarse, nothing rude. It is decent, it is civil, it's only negative. And that one we can, the government should be able to respond. And we have tried to respond on negative feedback that makes sense. For example, about the barrows, when people say, oh, you have not been fair to Easterners people because you always care for Westerners people. And we didn't know. It was about, we were just doing geographical arithmetic and the infrastructure that is available. And we ended up having a Western barrow that had only 2 sub-counties. That is, or 3, that is Dagoretti, that is Roysambu and Westlands. And you understand this is about sharing of resources. So the people in Eastlands, which contains the former Embakasi sub-counties, again say, nyinyi tu mnapenda wadosi. Mumewapatia baro yenye inatoa baro 2, ina sub-county 2, na sisi mmepatia 5. So most likely mtawapelekea because mtatumia resource sharing formula yenye italeta equal resources, then if you shall share 100, you shall give them 50 and you shall give us what? 50. That's negative. But we're able to address it, we listen to the people, and we're able to add them another barrow. So today, Nairobi County is seeking as a new policy to implement 6 barrows. So I'll say negative comments is not bad. It's only that in Kenya, there's a problem. And that's why we need more civic education. Personally, and I used to be on that side, and I never appreciate any citizen who's just there to clap for government. I don't like it. I don't like it completely. And my seniors know that. Because why would you clap for me when I'm not working? So, but also, if we can be very civil, we should be able to improve. But if you are rude and you speak carelessly and all that, you will not help your government. But I also don't like cheering government when it is doing the wrong things. And civic voices and all we have engaged with within this space, I must defend government, and I must. But I also expect you to be able to question government intelligently, honestly, with your facts, and don't cheer government, and don't be rude. Rude people don't get anywhere. I can tell you, I was in this space. Those who, we used to be in Mtaratara na hiyo. The rude people, we left them there mtaani. Yeah. So me, I'm here today. I'm trying to implement what I believed. The space might not be, in government it's not easy. You might be sitting there thinking it's very easy. Hapa sio rahisi hivyo. So anyways, so negative comment generally, they should be acceptable when they pass the test of good manners. And I don't mind that. Saying, oh, you have not seen loopholes of corruption, that's negative, but it is not bad. But when you start telling me, oh, so and so is your girlfriend, did you see me with her? So those kind of things, when people start those kind of things. And even if she's my girlfriend, perhaps I'm single and I want to get married, what's the issue? Right? So all those kind of things are in haja. So me, I think those ones, good government officers, I've seen politicians and governors and staff insulting those people's back. I think that's not right. Well, I think from government side, when people speak like that, you just ignore them. But any negative comment that is useful, that will help to build this country better, rather than just cheering. And the problem of Kenya na tusaidiane si wote. Tufundisha watu wote mashinani. Unajua hapa tunapiga hadithi saa hii. But student election in 3 years time. When tutafika kwa election, we will again vote in wrong people. Sisi wote. Tumepiga hatua. But I know, let me tell you. No, wait. So we Kenyans are voting the right people. We have the right people in office right now.
No.
Randomly, as I give the microphone back, let's judge ourselves kidogo.
Most of the time.
What is your thinking? Let me just hear. I'm just asking. Generally in Kenya, what would you rate to be the governance level of the leaders we have? Is it 50%, 70% generally? If you were to give an average.
10%.
10? So 10% are the good ones. Like the few ones. So if 10, no, you have said 10, 50 are good. Give me a percentage. What do you think they can, if let me tell you something as I sit down, when a percentage is that huge, let me tell you something, so that we are be fair. When a percentage is so huge on a certain parameter, it means the problem is not the elected. I'm just telling you a fact. It is not the elected. When the percentage, if we had 10% that are bad, then they will be able to discuss. But when all intelligent Kenyans, every 5 years, we are getting it wrong, the problem is where? And I'll tell you the truth. There are many people who, if they get to government today, from that side, I'm telling you, you will see wonders. That they'll steal until you get shocked. It's only that they have not. Wewe ushaiona 10 million ikipita kwa meza yako hivi. Wewe utaona. Wewe umeona. Have you seen 50 million ikipita hivi? Wewe utaona. So, and I have stories of people from the CSOs and NGOs who came to government. And my friend, the things they are doing. Some of them are even have been removed from payroll. So I'm telling you, Kenya, the problem is societal. It's societal. So what as you point fingers to elected leaders, nimesha move hapo. Siko huko. So let's try to do civic education, to keep trying to encourage Kenyans to be ethical. How many Kenyans keep on throwing papers? Hata hapa sahi. Me, I've learned, and I'm saying as a matter of fact, if I eat anything, and I peel or I'm using karatasi, I'm telling you a truth. I will put that thing in my pocket. Sometimes I look stupid before people. Because I've learned, mimi ni kanjo, vile mnaniita. So nitakushika aje, na mimi mwenyewe natoka. But how many rich Kenyans here are driving? Ambao wakipita kwa road, ameshakula pizza, anatoka I see Mercedes Benz, na huyo ataenda kwa Twitter jioni. Anapita hivi, amekula pizza, amerusha box. O nini hapa nini, ni barabara gani Ngongari Mathayo. And then hiyo jioni anakuja kutusumbua. So anyway, Kenya has a problem that we must address, all of us. But negative comments have no problem if they are civil. Munipigie makofi.
Thanks for that, Director. That was robust. And now we are 5 minutes past time. Maybe if we take the last round, will you allow us? Yes. Because I know time is limited. Let's take the last round and maybe we close.
So hi everyone, my question today is how can local grassroots movements effectively advocate for the implementation of SDG at community levels through the Civic Voice app by Vision 2030? And my question is because I can see through this rain that has been happening, there's been people who are under poverty that have been struggling a lot. So that's my question.
So I'm given a good, what do we call it, recommendation over here. Ukianza kuuliza swali, just say who you are, what ward or what organization you're representing. Ndio watu wajue ku network afterwards.
Okay, so my name is Olbrich Lolam, and I'm from IPYF, and I'm also an Kenya, my youth representative over there, and I also represent persons living with disability.
Hello again, my name is Joe Luchiri from Kibesco. My concern is about the language provision. Is it only English? Because I've tried to tweak it, in terms of in the spirit of diversification and also taking public participation closer to the person? Can we also